We have found over the last 27 months there have been several silver linings and lessons learned during the pandemic. Certainly one of them was this enormous challenge of the COVID-19 task force created. But we found that we could strengthen our state and local partnership. We all worked together towards the same common goal. We could quickly bring people together. Only a month into the pandemic, we convened 24 local and state officials, including the head of epidemiology at the University of Wisconsin Medical School in Madison. And we found that we could develop a report in a timely manner that was meaningful in assisting our local teams identify the needs in their communities. The final report was issued just 2 months after the global pandemic was declared, not 2 years or 3 years like most of our significant work takes. In June of 2020, Bayfield County, Wisconsin held one of the first jurisdictions in the country to hold an in-person jury trial. Another significant challenge that we're facing here in Wisconsin is the national court reporter shortage. We started to work on this issue in 2017 when the director convened a committee to provide recommendations on how to make the record with the looming stenographic court reporter shortage that we were facing. In 2019, the Wisconsin Supreme Court adopted rule changes that allowed for a blended system of digital and stenographic court reporters to take the record in Wisconsin. Soon after, the Director of State Courts mandated the installation of digital audio recording systems in every courtroom and hearing room in the state by the end of 2023. We are well ahead of this goal, primarily due to the pandemic and the access to courtrooms while things were still being held remote. But the pandemic took us down a path we had not envisioned. We found that we were posting court reporter vacancies in certain areas of the state without any applicants. We decided to post these vacancies statewide to see if that would help with recruitment, and it did. With the installation of the new DAR systems and the use of Zoom, we were able to develop a program where it no longer mattered where the court reporter vacancy was. A court reporter in Menasha could take the record in the morning in Milwaukee and in the afternoon in Wausau without ever leaving their offices. The court reporters connect to the newly installed DAR systems, take the record and the log notes, and then the audio is saved on our case management system and is available to the sitting judge on their dashboard the next day. Since judges were used to having a court reporter in their courtroom, we require a Zoom connection for the court reporter to communicate should something go wrong. The statewide court reporter program has successfully kept our courts on the record as vacancies continue to soar. We may not have found this solution if we were not in the middle of a global pandemic. We were thinking outside of the box. We were doing so many things remotely. It just made sense. I share these stories to emphasize the dramatic changes our roles as court managers have taken over these last 27 months. I bet everyone in this room has a story that changed the trajectory of their role as a court manager. We all have shared experiences and lessons learned. This week, as we listen to the many plenary sessions, we hear stories of silver linings and lessons learned from a global pandemic as we network with our colleagues from near and far. Let's remember the challenges of the last 27 months and how those challenges have shaped our leadership and will move our courts in a new direction forward into the future. Thank you and have a great conference.
Prior to our business meeting, I just want to talk about our NACM's Cares charity. Each year, NACM's early career professionals, that's all of us under 40, okay, that That boat sailed a while ago. Or you're in your position with the court for less than 10 years. And so that's our early career professionals. That's one of the committees underneath the membership. So if you're interested, if you're an early career professional, please come to the committee meeting on Wednesday afternoon. So that was a plug, not for the charity, but for the committee. This year's annual charity is the Milwaukee Justice Center, the self-help center located in the Milwaukee County Courthouse. We're happy to have Mary Ferwarda, the executive director who has received multiple awards for her work and contributions with the Milwaukee Justice Center and the Milwaukee community, as well as her own personal volunteer efforts. In 2014, she also accepted the Wisconsin Innovation Award for the Milwaukee Justice Center's Mobile Legal Clinic. She's here to share their mission and the impact that your support can make. Please welcome Mary.
Thank you, Tina. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I echo everyone else's greetings in welcoming you to Wisconsin. Usually our summer weather is extraordinary, so I really hope you get a chance to experience that while you're here in Milwaukee. On behalf of the Milwaukee Justice Center partners and supporters, I thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Court staff truly understand the need for services like what we offer at the MJC and know they are critical to providing equal access to our court systems. The MJC has found much success in our almost 13 years because we are uniquely organized. We exist through the commitment and generosity of three partners: the Milwaukee County Clerk of Courts, the Milwaukee Bar Association and their foundation, and Marquette University Law School. Each of these entities provides support to the MJC in different ways. The Clerk of Courts provides some beautiful courthouse space, supplies, tech support, and 3 full-time staff. The Milwaukee Bar Association Foundation now supports 3 full-time staff as well, and they are the donation and grant management arm. The Marquette Law School provides 2 part-time staff to help us in our clinics, and much of the infrastructure of how our clinics run: malpractice insurance for volunteer attorneys, volunteer management, organization and software, client management software, and much more. In addition, we receive financial support from many of the area firms and businesses, as well as grants through the State Bar of Wisconsin, the Bader Foundation, the Evinrude Foundation, and other local organizations. We are fortunate, too, to have amazing private donors who see our need as well as our capacity to help. Through all of this support, though, we still must be focused on constantly raising funds to continue our work. Balancing this unique partnership with at times differing agendas is not always easy. But what is easy is that every person, organization involved with the MJC is committed to improving access to the Milwaukee County Courthouse and access to justice for our Milwaukee County neighbors. The programs we offer include a family forms clinic staffed by undergraduate and law students to help people complete the state-created forms to file in family court. This is by far our most robust service, welcoming between 5,500 in a pandemic year and 8,000 pre-pandemic client visits annually. The Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics, we host a number of these brief legal advice clinics in the courthouse, including a family law-specific clinic on a number of days. We offer them via Zoom, including an expungement pardon clinic, and on our award-winning mobile legal clinic, which is venturing out again finally after a 2-year hiatus, offering eviction records cleanup services and other civil legal advice at area libraries. These programs, pairing attorney volunteers and law student volunteers, have welcomed between 2,500 and 4,000 client visits annually. We also offer parenting conferences. This is a successful collaborative program with the State Child Support Office to offer a moderated settlement conference to parents who need to discuss custody, placement, and talk with the child support attorney. We are very excited to begin welcoming this program back in fall, and our volunteer mediators and law students as well. We're really proud to say that when both parents show up to this program, we have an 80% rate of people coming to an agreement, which is kind of unheard of in dispute resolution. The MJC cannot do what we do without the commitment of hundreds of volunteers each year. attorneys, law students, undergraduates, and community members. What we do is both an opportunity to serve our community, but also to educate young people on the issues of inequality here in Milwaukee County, how the courts are intertwined into the lives of many families who are managing financial insecurity, and the inherent challenges of representing yourself in a court process. Most of the area colleges and universities include the MJC as an internship site. Several major law firms in Milwaukee have committed to staffing clinics on a regular basis via Zoom, in person, and on our mobile legal clinic. And our volunteers use their own word of mouth to recruit new volunteers to our services. We are very grateful to have the ongoing support of the District 1 Chief Judge's Office here in Milwaukee County, the Family Court Commissioner's Office, and the Family Division. This support allows us regular channels of communication to help everyone stay on the same page in terms of information and procedures. And I'm sure as state court managers, you understand the importance of information and procedures in your work. And as you all know quite well, the pandemic required quick and creative approaches to ensure that court services could continue, and it was the same for the MJC. I have the very best team of people. Though they would tell you that they don't like change, and they would say that a lot, they really embraced what we had to do during the pandemic with our limited resources. In addition to creating remote clinics for most of our services, they also created web-based resources and referral options, an entire set of videos to walk people through the family forms, and a set of videos to help people navigate Zoom for their court hearings. Our legal director is such a great teacher. These videos are amazing and wonderful. You can get to them on our main website if you want to take a look. She does them in plain language for non-legal professionals to understand, and they really are fantastic. Our team also implemented a brand new civil legal helpline to connect those we serve and would normally see at our front desk to our legal services when we were not able to be in the courthouse. At its highest volume, that service accepted 1,100 calls in a month, all taken by volunteers. Each semester during the pandemic, this amazing team assessed our programs and procedures and made changes that benefit our Milwaukee neighbors. I really couldn't be more proud of them. Even though they're not here, they really are an amazing group of people. Personally, for me, the MJC is the place that I wanted to be when I changed careers in my mid-30s and attended law school. The MJC didn't exist at that time, but my skills and passion led me to public service. Each day, even the really hard days, I feel grateful to do this work with the team and partners that we have. And it feels great to help our Milwaukee neighbors overcome the many barriers to justice that they encounter. It's a privilege to serve them and to lead this work in Milwaukee County. And it also has been my privilege to have you listen to me talk about the thing I really love most this afternoon. Thank you for welcoming the MJC into your conference and for any support that you can provide. Tomorrow at your social, you'll see around a little card that looks like this, and it'll tell you what $50 donation will provide and what $150 donation will provide. You'll note that the $100 donation says it will fill the mobile legal clinic with gas. That was in 2019. So, you might want to up that a little bit. But once again, I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you, and I wish you a very wonderful conference and a great time here in Milwaukee. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'd like to call to order and welcome you all to the NACM 22 business meeting. First, I'd like to acknowledge our NACM parliamentarian, Rick Pierce, our vice president. And I call upon our secretary treasurer, Tina Madison. Ms. Secretary, do we have a quorum? Thank you. We will now proceed with the business meeting. To begin the business meeting, I'll turn it over to our secretary treasurer, Tina, for the treasurer's report.
Hi there. I'm Tina Madison, the Secretary Treasurer, and I'll be showing our financial status momentarily. So I have the honor of coming into 2022, actually coming out of the pandemic, and you can see our financials and all of our material about our financial status is on our website at www.nacmnet.org. They're also in your application. If you go to the business meeting, the financial statement is also linked on there as well. So in 2019, we were doing well, then the pandemic hit, and why you see a number in red, it was because in 2020, we did not have a conference, and a lot of our revenue is generated through conferences. And so luckily, we were able to hold in 2021, an annual conference, and then that got us back on track. And right now in 2022, these are our financials as of May. So I just want to highlight some of the things that we've done in 2021. We were able to hold a mid-year virtually from February to May, and we offered that free of charge to our members. We were still working through the pandemic, and we just wanted to make sure our educational content was getting out to all of you. And so we felt that was very important for us. We've also, through that time, we had our first hybrid annual conference in San Diego, where we had approximately 340 attendees, as well as 100 members attending virtually around the world. And I think all of us have gotten used to attending conferences, seeing webinars, sessions, and it looks like this is a program here to stay, and it is offering this educational programming to people who can't make it here, to the justice courts, to the smaller rural courts, maybe who can't send members. So we really love the fact that folks are attending virtually, and I want to shout out to Arizona people. Hi. Okay. In 2022, we continued our hybrid conferences, and we held our conference in Bellevue, Washington. And again, we had almost 300 attendees at that conference, and it was really a wonderful, it felt great being back in, it really felt like we were back in the swing of things, as well as this conference, where we have, you've seen the numbers, over 400 attendees, and it's just amazing, and it's wonderful to see you all here. So what have we done to kind of keep our costs in line? We continue to just keep our budget on the flat and not really going overboard with it, and really keeping an eye on it, and reviewing our financial policy on an annual basis. In looking at our revenue again, over the past few years, it was low during the pandemic, but we are starting to see momentum gain back. One of the things that we are now offering again are scholarships. So we had a couple of people that we awarded scholarships this year, and so we're thankful to have that ability again as well. You heard talking about the fun run, that money, if you donate the $20 for the fun run, that goes to our scholarship fund as well. So what can you do as members to help with our finances? One of the things that you might, because we have a lot of first-time attendees here, you might not be aware of, our contracts with the hotel require us to have enough rooms, a specified amount of rooms filled. And unfortunately, we didn't quite make it this year in the Hilton partnership, so we are going to take a bit of a hit. So I know everybody's trying to be fiscally responsible with their courts money and maybe going through third-party vendors, but we really do ask you to, when you register, to go through the hotel registration link. That way we meet our contract obligations. And I believe that's it for my spiel for treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. We're now going to begin our committee reports. One announcement, each committee chair will be giving out their committee awards to individuals that really stepped it up throughout the year on that committee. I'm going to ask that you step aside at the end of that committee report to get a photo with the committee chair. But if you'll wait to the end of that committee report to come up, get your award, and have a photo. Thank you. We'll start with Communication Committee and Jeff Chappell as chair. Okay.
Sorry, a little taller than Kathy. Thanks, Tina, for getting the word out on the organization's financials and many more informational items. That's the duty of the Communication Committee. Hello, I'm Jeff Chappell. I had the great pleasure of serving as the Communications Chair this year. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the great work of Greg Lambard, my Vice Chair. Running around here somewhere. There he is, with glasses on his head. So between him and I, we were able to work and steer a great committee. Communications Committee is responsible for promoting and maintaining effective communications with NACM members and its partners. The Communication Committee promotes NACM activities through email blasts, website content, publications, and social media. The Communication Committee also coordinates production of NACM webinars, podcasts, guides, and this year was the year of guides. We were very fortunate with the working groups led by past NACM President Paul Delash. We were able to release the Adult Guardianship Guide just right before our mid-year conference in February. But that wasn't enough for Paul. He helped steer, and hot off the presses, you probably got a press release today. Looks just like this. For the Behavioral Health Guide. That was just released and will be in one of the sessions this week as well. So the guides were only part of what we do. Podcasts, they're produced monthly by Peter Kiefer and given us great topics from ODR, Great Resignation, cyber attacks, work-life balance, and many more. You can watch or listen to them monthly. They're all on our website at nacmnet.org. Speaking of the website, we got a great new website review team that has been very busy. The updates and refreshing of several pages has been a great accomplishment this year. We have to get these great updates and informationals out to you, and that was part of our social media promotion. Look for us and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So more than likely, we're on one of your environments that you're a member of, no matter what age you are. This is a great work of Christina Pietro. She's not here today, but she might be virtually. She has taken that on and willing and looking for anybody else that wants to help her with that. We offer great publications quarterly, the Court Manager and Court Express. Janet Cornell has taken on the role as editor of the Court Express and added some great new columns. Take a look if you haven't seen them. Thank her here this week if you have seen them, or give her some good content. She will do this and want more and more and more. I saw that yesterday. This is some of the great work that we're doing within the Communications Committee. This is all done by great volunteers. And which arrow there? There we go. By some great volunteers, but there are a few stars this year that I mentioned above. The only one I did not mention personally is May. She's part of our website team, led by Roger, so I will have her come up as well. But all the other ones have been mentioned here today. But they have that great team out west that is a couple hours behind us, but they really focus on that website, so that's been great. But if you're interested in the Communications Committee, please join us Wednesday at 11 o'clock in room 102. As mentioned before, there will be an opportunity to win some NACM swag. If you're watching remotely or have other things that you would like to on your schedule and you need to come visit us later, please reach out to us. Our committee page is at nacmnet.org. Now I will turn it over to Rick Pierce on the Education Committee, and I'll see you Wednesday before lunch.
No, they won't, because you're all going to see me at 11 o'clock Wednesday morning with the Education Committee. Yes, for those that are receiving the awards from the Communications Committee, come on up and get your photo.
Paul, Janet, May.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rick Pierce. I'm the Vice President, but also the Education Committee Chair. Just a very quick summary of what Education Committee is. It's basically an overview committee or oversight committee of the conference development and the core committees, which are very important subcommittees regarding the actual topic of education. The Conference Development Committee really, you're kind of experiencing it right now, what their fruits of their labor over the last year, as well as what they have done at Bellevue in February. And they are responsible, and they are led by our President-elect, Jeffrey Tsunakawa, who regarding the education of and the proposals and that they receive for presentations at our conferences, as well as the plenary speakers. The core is also a subcommittee, and that is chaired by Tina Madison, and also her vice chair, Ms. Kelly Hutton. And the core is, I'm going to give you the web address so you can make sure that you write it down or type it in your phone right now, nacmcore.org. It's a great place to go to check out the 13 competencies that we have developed over the years, and it's been in place. That's our curriculum for the NACM Core. And if you are interested in receiving any information or education on a particular topic, those sessions will be offered throughout this conference, and they are actually identified as such on your app. Speaking of the Core Champion Program, spearheaded by Kelly, is also noted on that program, and we have now moved that program out of its pilot phase, and we'll be moving into phase 2, which is wonderful news to hear. And we're hoping that more and more of you as members will see this as a member benefit for those who wish to have a certificate program. And this is not something just for senior executives. This is something that we encourage for all NACM members that may not be in that executive position, but that might need something to take back to their, whether it's a funding authority or supervisor, to say, hey, this is kind of the justification. This is what I've been doing with my time and trying to get educated on the background and the core essentials of our profession of court management. Now, before I go any further, I know there are folks that have left, but I do want to ask, for those of you who have served on education, the core committee, or conference development, to please stand. And thank you very much. There are many more that either could not attend in person or have left just for the moment. So we also have on the screen, will be shown in just a minute here, those folks who are going to be receiving the Lady Justice Pin Awards. I do want to read them and call them very quickly. One individual for the Education Committee that I've been working very closely with, that I wanted to give a pure acknowledgement and a shout out to Sarah Brown Clark from the state of Ohio. She unfortunately could not be present. Other folks that will be receiving the Lady Justice Award: Teresa Owens, Stacy Fields, Marcus Rankensmeyer, who I know is here, Ray Billett, and Janet Cornell. If any of those folks would please come to the front, and we will get our photos taken, and that is it, Madam President.
Thank you, Rick. I'll now turn it over to Brandon and Cheryl for Membership Committee report.
Thank you, Kathy. Brandon Kimura is honored to be the co-chair of Membership Committee this year, along with Cheryl Stone, who will join me in a moment. Unfortunately, Dorothy Howell, who is the chair, couldn't be here today, but under Dorothy's leadership and with Cheryl and I trying to support, the Membership Committee has done, I think, tremendous work this year, and in large part due to the subcommittees and the subcommittee chairs. The Membership Committee is tasked with two real visions. One is to engage the current members or the new members and get them connected to the parts of the organization where they can find value for themselves in their courts, and whether that's in the communications committee where they can offer their skill set, or the education committee or otherwise. And the second part of the membership committee's mission is to reach out and reach new members so that we can spread access to NACM, if you will, instead of access to justice. We are spreading the mission and vision of NACM by reaching out to others, both among our colleagues in our local courts, but also to other jurisdictions as well. So those are the two purposes of the membership committee, and some of the work that we've done this year. First is through the Subcommittee on State Associations led by Rick Pierce. Rick has taken photos, but the Subcommittee on State Associations has this year established a landing page on the upgraded website that's dedicated to state associations themselves, and it will include links so that they can link to each other, including course and conference materials and bylaws and et cetera. So that helps out associations do quite a bit of work so they can learn from each other. One other subcommittee under the membership committee at large is the International Subcommittee. This year they've updated a brochure that's now available on the NACM website under resources. They've also created an international consulting survey that's available on the conference app. And as a reminder, as was shared earlier, that attendees who complete this will be eligible to win a Starbucks gift card, and the winner I think will be announced on Thursday. So please check that out in the app if you haven't yet. The third thing from the International Subcommittee is to prepare for a session at the conference that'll be entitled International Court Management, Joining the Conversation. And it'll be just an informal discussion about international consulting, court consulting work, and that'll be tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And they've also going to have an international subcommittee meeting where you can learn more on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. They also have an early career professionals subcommittee led by Stacy Warby, who unfortunately couldn't make it. But they've been tremendously productive this year. They've done sessions to engage our early career professionals who are learning not just about NACM, but also about the court system and how they can expand their own skill set. And so we've had sessions for early career professionals on mentorship, performance evaluations, the path to the NACM board if they so choose, what it's like to serve on the NACM board, and more recently, making the most out of NACM conferences and other subjects as well. So those are real, just 30 minutes or so learning sessions intended for early career professionals, but all are of course welcome. And the Early Career Professional Subcommittee has also organized at this conference the Early Career Professionals and First-Time Attendees Reception that many folks attended last night. And there will be a committee reminder as well, a committee meeting on Wednesday as well. And the Early Career Professionals also organized and hosted and organized with the charity, as we've heard from earlier, Milwaukee Justice Center. So those are some of the, again, great work by the Early Career Professionals Subcommittee. The membership committee at large also worked through a few longer projects this year. One was to create a membership survey that was issued a few months ago, and we tried to reach and really understand the voice of where people are coming from and what our organization looks like. And it's a little bit different from the Voice of the Profession survey, which we'll be talking about later in the conference. But this is really to understand who are our members and what are they thinking. And so, one key takeaway that we've learned is that of our respondents to the survey, about 83% share that diversity and inclusion is one of their court's stated values or priority areas. And they also share that more than half of them share that their courts need more training or awareness on these kinds of issues. So we see the gap there, and that's, of course, a gap that NACM is looking to fill, among other things. So mentorship also falls under the membership committee. We try to connect people with mentors, either locally or afar, or related to their job title or position or whatever they're in need of. However we can help, we do that. And the membership committee also has we organize the swag. So if you're on the Amazon website, hopefully everyone's got their swag ready for Swag Day on Wednesday, where you can wear your NACM swag. We also awarded folks. These are the awardees for their tremendous work this year. Lillian Triplett, Paul Deloche, Daniel Meza-Rincon, Samantha Wallace, and Michelle Oken. So for those folks who've done just outstanding work for the membership committee this year, if you could please join Cheryl and me in a moment on the side for a photo. But I think Cheryl would like to pump up our meeting for later.
I get the pleasure of sharing the membership committee this year. And so I want to invite all of you Wednesday at 3 o'clock to the membership committee. We're going to do some brainstorming on how to connect members in between conferences and create maybe more of a virtual network. So I look forward to seeing you in your swag on Wednesday at 3 o'clock for the membership committee.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Cheryl, for the great work you've done this year. I'm now going to turn it over to Angie Van Scoik for Governance Committee report.
Thank you, Kathy. So for Governance Committee, we make sure that NACM runs the way that we want it to be running. So one of the things that we did over the past year was adopting some of the resolutions that kind of give us direction in terms of where we want to go and how we want to move forward. Part of this is directed by our national agenda, which was adopted in 2021 and will run to 2026. But also part of our strategic planning that we do every fall for a 2-year time period. One of the other things that we have is the Voice of the Profession survey, which ties into the State of the Profession address. So when Kathy gives the State of the Profession address, you will receive a link for the Voice of Profession survey, so we can get feedback from our membership to know what you see as the most important things that we should be focusing on. One thing that is new this year is that we have a bylaws amendment, and this is done if our bylaws end up kind of out of compliance. So a lot of everything that was in there was talking about in-person conferences and in-person meetings. And we realized we had to modify it to allow for virtual attendees. And for, if a board member is unable to make a meeting for some reason, to give them that flexibility. So this was sent out to the membership to review. We did not receive any comments, but now as attendees of this conference, you are asked to vote to approve the bylaws as they're amended. If you look in your app underneath the business meeting, there is a section that has everything spelled out as to the changes that we are looking for. During our strategic planning meeting, in the fall, we modified the mission and vision statements for NACM to be more inclusive. So one of the things that we're looking to adopt is to change the mission and vision to the new language that we approved as a board in October. The other items are 3 different sections of the bylaws. One is about holding 4 regular in-person meetings and just striking the in-person portion. And it's the same for each of the sections. So in the handouts that you have in your app, you'll be able to see where the changes were made for those. So removing these restrictions allows the greater flexibility for any assembly of board members. And for this, we ask that you go in there, you vote yes or no, and we will take a tally of the results later to see if the bylaw amendments have been adopted. Additionally, yay, push the right button. I have committee members that I would like to recognize for their assistance and outstanding help during the past year. Courtney Whiteside, who is an administrator in Missouri, took over the ethics subcommittee and has been running those meetings and has been doing an excellent job of really engaging the membership to have really robust discussions and promote that and promote the ethics in our environment. So I had her nominated, and then Eric Silverberg from Arizona, court administrator in Tucson. He willingly stepped up to help with very different governance initiatives that we had, and was a very willing member who helped with the things that we were running in governance. I invite anybody who has any interest in seeing, kind of the back end of how things run and come about to join us on Wednesday at 3:00. I know, membership really wants you there, but I really want you there too. So, feel free to come by. You can ask any questions about what we do. It's honestly very interesting work, and we will have operations procedures that we're going to have to update for the next year. So we already have tasks at hand that I am looking forward to doing. So if Courtney and Eric can join me over here, then we can get our pictures taken, and I will hand it over to TJ or to Kathy. That's for him.
Thank you, Angie, and thank you to all that served on the governance committee this year. I'll now turn it over to our past president, TJ Bemet, for 2 committees. He'll first do the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee report, and then the Nomination Committee.
Thank you, Kathy. So I had the privilege this past year of chairing our brand new committee, our DEI committee. We had a variety of different projects that we worked on, but probably the biggest question that most of you have, why is somebody that looks like me leading the committee on DEI? The initial answer might have been because they needed something for the past president to do, but it ended up being much more important than that. And I don't say that in jest, because the issues and the conversations around DEI need to come from all people of all backgrounds to share the voice as part of the conversation. So I entered the conversation with open eyes and open ears and open arms to really hopefully engage what our membership has been doing around issues around DEI. I'm very proud to say that from a governance perspective this last year, we started to bake in some of the DEI issues into our strategic planning and into our bylaws. That's one of the amendments that you'll see that Angie just mentioned, is some updates to our mission that now goes into our bylaws as well. We have, over the last year and a half, included a variety of DEI topics in our education. You'll see that very clearly in the agenda, and we have ongoing conversations, I think this morning and this afternoon in sessions, and I hope that you all will join in on some of those. You all probably seen, about since January, a greater social media presence in NACM around issues of DEI. One of the things that our committee has looked at is opportunities to highlight the breadth and depth of our membership in issues that are important to us, whether it be Pride Month, whether it be a recognition month or a recognition week. NACM has pushed that out through some of its social media. So if you have ideas for opportunities to celebrate our members and the diversity of our membership, please do let us know so that we can include that in our social media campaign. We've done a lot of goal setting around DEI in our strategic planning process and in the work that we do as a board. We engaged the conversation with a facilitator in our board meeting in February around conversations on DEI and what that means, not just in DEI in general, but what it means for us as an association of professionals. I'm really excited to announce that we are working on a DEI guide. You already heard from communications, the number of guides that NACM puts out already. We'll be partnering with folks, including the National Center for State Courts, on doing this latest guide. It's going to be a rush to the finish line because we're going to try and get it done by the end of the year. So you will see that hopefully later this fall. So of course, amongst everything, it'll have a primer about what is DEI in general, but more importantly, it'll be what is DEI through the lens of the 13 core competencies, and what does it mean for us as court professionals, and what can we be doing on the ground in our courts to continue that conversation. I do want to make a plug for y'all to be part of the ongoing conversation. It'll be Wednesday. I'm sorry, Rick. It is up against education at 11 a.m. I encourage you all to come join us in our discussion. And just to kind of put it in very general terms, when we say DEI from the perspective of NACM, diversity is facts. It is what it is. It is the numbers and the people that make up our courts as organizations. We can do better, in changing what we look like and the folks that we hire, but it includes a variety and depth of experience and backgrounds of the folks that we have. Equity is how we treat folks, and that includes our litigants and making sure that we're treating everybody equally and professionally and giving folks a voice. And then lastly, it's an issue of inclusion. And I think that's really where NACM can strive, is making sure that we have opportunities for all of you all to feel that you belong to a group of fellow professionals and that you have an opportunity to share your voice in that. So you'll hear more about that over the next 2 days. But come and join us in our conversations on Wednesday, in various sessions that we have here, and on the ongoing. I do want to give a special shout out to my co-chair. I don't call him my vice chair, I call him my co-chair, my friend from Oregon, Roger Rand, who has been a great help to me as we've led this DEI committee within NACM the last year. So Roger, thank you for your help on that. I do want to recognize a couple of folks who have specifically contributed over the last year. I like to think that they're part of my inner voice, because I recognize, as part of my own DEI awareness, that I don't know everything, nor will I ever, nor will I fully understand all the lived experiences that my friends and colleagues have gone through in their lives. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping myself open. Some of those voices on our committee has been Zanelle Brown, who you all will see and is one of our speakers. We also have Sarah Brown Clark, who has been a great voice in sharing her conversation with us as well. So encourage. I think Zanelle is here, Sarah is not. Zanelle, you can come join me in a moment. I'm going to give you a break, not quite yet, because I'm going to run right into nominations, but you can come join me for a quick photo op afterwards. And while I'm speaking of Zanelle for a moment, you may have noticed during the earlier business meeting when the slides go back and forth, you saw Zanelle's smiling face up there. She has volunteered, or been voluntold by me, to be part of our first DEI book club. So we will be pushing out a link after the conference to have you all join us on a social book club in August, where we'll be highlighting her book on belonging and inclusion, and she's going to share her story about what prompted her to write that book and the experiences that she's had going out and talking to people about that. And that'll be our first book club, and hopefully the first of many conversations to go to encourage us to all keep our eyes and ears open as we continue our learning. So, with your permission, Madam President, I will head into nominations. Yes. All right, thank you. One of the great privileges of being immediate past president is to be able to look back, but also to look forward. Have the great opportunity to look to folks who are going to be the next leaders within NACM. I want to give some thanks to those that helped me on the nominations committee, my friend and fellow, O.B. Lucas from Ohio, past president of NACM, Bob Wessels, Randall Soderquist of Nevada, Zanelle Brown from Michigan, and our current board member, Cheryl Stone, who joined me on that. So we spent some time Sunday afternoon chatting with a variety of folks. So per our NACM bylaws, our current president to my left here, Kathy Griffin, will automatically become the immediate past president, and our current president-elect, Jeffrey Sunakawa, also to my left, will become president. On behalf of the nominations committee, I would like to present the following slate of nominations. For president-elect, Rick Pierce from Pennsylvania. Rick, give everybody a nice wave. Thank you. For vice president, Tina Madison from Arizona. Tina, give everyone a wave. For secretary treasurer, Kelly Hutton from North Dakota. Kelly, you are back there in the back. Say hi, Kelly. And for our board of directors to fill 3-year terms, we offer Don Palermo from Louisiana. Don, you are in the middle. We have Christy Collier-Tucker from Georgia. Where are you, Christy? There you are. And lastly, Mary Bell, also from Georgia. Mary, you are over there on my right. So that is our slate of nominees. Madam President, I hand it over to you for the voting process, and I will stand behind you to be available.
Thank you, TJ, for both the DEI committee and the nominations committee. And those of you that served on both those committees, I really appreciate your time. with the slate of officers, I now ask, are there any further nominations from the floor? Again, any nominations from the floor? All right, hearing none from the floor, nominations are now closed. We will continue the NACM business meeting on Thursday. So that concludes our business meeting for today. Thank you all. And this is my final opportunity, as there's no more announcements this afternoon. Fun run tomorrow morning, 5:45 outside the door. Thank you all. Thank you for attending.